Donato, and I'm the director at the Round Lake Area Public Library. I'm very excited to be announcing that tonight's event, our community forum, is the first that we have had in this community. There have been some other forums around in various other villages and cities, but not in Round Lake. So this is a fantastic opportunity for the Round Lake Area Library, our residents, our candidates, and all of you. So I thank you all for showing up tonight. I'd like to let you all know that this forum is part of the library's mission to provide current information, formal education support, independent learning opportunities, and life enrichment materials to a highly diverse public and to further a love of reading and learning for all of you. So this event fits very nicely with the library's mission to help our residents. I'd like to especially thank the Village of Round Lake Beach Cultural and Civic Center for providing the library space to host tonight's event. For those of you who have not had a chance to visit the Cultural and Civic Center before, this Civic Center is available to several communities and individuals throughout the county, throughout the state, and if you are from Wisconsin, we'd love to have you down too. The person who has made this event possible for us tonight is Monica Marr. Monica is the facilities manager of the Round Lake Beach Cultural and Civic Center, and I highly recommend that you talk to Monica if you would like to have an event here yourself. I would also like to thank the League of Women Voters, especially Diane Sanderson and Joyce O'Keefe. They have been instrumental in helping set up tonight's forum. They've created some press releases, gathered everybody together, and helped make tonight's event very successful. A little bit about Joyce. Joyce O'Keefe is a long-term member of the League of Women Voters of Highland Park. She has served as the president of the Highland Park League and as vice president of the League of Women Voters of Illinois, and she has served on the Highland Park City Council for over 10 years. Now, before we have Joyce come up here, I do want to extend another bit of gratitude to all of our candidates for coming tonight. We realize that this event will be going a little bit later into the evening, so I thank you for your patience, and I thank you for taking some time out of your very busy schedules to come and join us and discuss some issues with our community this evening. I'd also like to give further credit to the success of this program for Dr. Sinclair's District 116 National Honor Society students. Tonight we have Seth Riker, Gina Hotzer, Edward Navarro, Lauren McLean, Rafael Casas, Aurero Fuentes, and Rolando Castro. Thank you, students, for coming and helping. We would like all of you students to be up here in a few years on this stage, too. So keep up the good work, you guys. I'd also like to lend a huge thanks to WRLR and Bish Krifko for helping broadcast this event live on WRLR 98.3. We also have Dan Hauser from Comcast, who is here with us this evening, who is taking this for a later broadcast on Comcast. WRLR will be re-airing this Sunday at 12 o'clock on WRLR 98.3. For those of you who have not had a chance to stop by the Round Lake Area Public Library in the last couple of months, I'd like to let you know that we have some really cool programs coming up. We have a preschool fair coming up this Saturday, March 10th. So if you know anybody who is of the preschool age, we encourage you and their parents to come over and visit us and see some of the preschools that you might be able to participate in over the next couple of years. We have a blood drive on Tuesday, March 13th. We have a pet expo on Sunday, April 14th. And one of our biggest events, the Summer Reading Club and Craft Fair, will start Saturday, June 16th. Saturday, June 16th is a big date for this community because the Village of Round Lake Beach also has one of its rather large events, one of their Summerfest that day. But don't worry, we're still going to have some really cool stuff over at the library. So Saturday, June 16th, the library will be having a craft fair at the start of our Summer Reading Club. We invite you to join us. We are going to have another candidates forum, most likely on October 7th. We have penciled in the date here in the Civic Center, and we are very excited to firm that up after tonight's event. Before I turn this over to our esteemed moderator, Joyce O'Keefe, I would like to let all of you know that the Round Lake Area Public Library is a non-partisan organization. We have never, nor will we ever endorse any candidates. We wish you all the best of luck, and we hope that you have some good relationships and that you're able to satisfy the needs of our community. Thank you very much.
Voters to be co-hosting this with the library. reason we do that is to avoid duplication or to avoid questions that are irrelevant to the office that the candidates are running.
Okay. My name is Rene Hernandez Jr. I'm seeking the Republican nominations for the 16th district, which includes Round Lake Beach and Round Lake. I've been a resident of this fine community since 1988. I attended Ellis Elementary School, McGee Middle School, and I graduated Round Lake High School in 1996. And I went on into Elmhurst College, where I graduated with a degree in business administration in the year 2000. And since then, I have 10 years of private sector experience. And the reason why I'm running for office for Lake County Board is because I have an 18-month-old daughter that I want to see grow up in a safe, vibrant community. With your help, I can do that. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jim Newton. I'm the current District 3 rep on the county board. I'm from Lindenhurst. I live there with my wife and 2 children. I want to thank the sponsors. It was a little bit of late notice, but it's very organized. I think that contract, I bought cars with less clauses, so I'll be really careful. In any case, I was appointed to the board last March unanimously after Susie Schmidt was elected to the Senate. Prior to that, I worked 27 years for the Lake County News Sun and Sun-Times Media covering government. I started out at village boards in the Vernon Hills, Libertyville area. I got to cover the creation of the Open Space District, which came with its own set of controversies. Moved my way up eventually to county government, which I covered for about 10 years before I was appointed. So the learning curve on taking office for me was very short. I sat in more committee and board meetings than many of the sitting board members at the time I was appointed.
Good evening. My name is Pat Carey, and I live in Grays Lake, running for District 6, which is Grays Lake, Haynesville, Round Lake Park, most of it, and parts of Round Lake Beach. My husband and I have lived in Grays Lake for 30 years. We raised our 2 sons there. In 2006, I wrapped up a 20-year career as a corporate executive, a technology executive. I then worked for the Village of Arlington Heights for several years, managing economic development. I was elected to the county board. I'm an incumbent. I was elected in 2008. I've spent 15 years in local government, 8 of those years as mayor of Grays Lake. 4 years ago, I said if I was elected, I would focus on controlling spending, improving transportation, creating jobs, and protecting the environment. Through the relationships that I've built in 15 years in local government, relationships with businesses, with government, with nonprofits, I have been effective in moving us forward in those 4 areas. We've accomplished a lot, but there's a lot more to do, and that's why I'm asking for your support for re-election for another term. Thank you.
My name is James Creighton Mitchell, Jr. Who will stand with me and say the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance. I do not believe that members of the county board should be paid a penny.
My name is Tom Weber. I'm a small business owner. I'm running for County Board District 3. I try to be a good communicator, but I try to be an even better listener. Small businesses create the vast majority of jobs in our district, but are drastically underrepresented on the county board. We need an active small business owner and employer on the county board to represent the job creators. As I walk around the district, the main complaint from our constituents is their property taxes. Most of them say they can't afford another dollar, another cent. Our property tax in Lake County are ranked 17th highest in the nation. They're 413% above the national average. The people of our district deserve a representative that understands what they're going through and is willing to listen to them. I'm running for county board not only because I want to protect the things that we have, but I want to work to make things even better for the next generation. I need your help to do that. My name is Tom Weber. Please vote for me.
Do you feel that Lake County should build a golf course at Fort Sheridan?
No, I don't. I was one of the minority of board members who voted against even going out to bids on this project. The idea of building a golf course when the market doesn't demand it in the middle of a recession is pretty well absurd, and I don't believe it's going to move forward any further than it is now.
Thank you. Ms. Carey?
I also do not support building a golf course on the Fort Sheridan property. There was an advisory committee that was put together, and they came up with a compromise plan for a 9-hole golf course. So we took a look at the 9-hole golf course, and golf is not popular today. It is with golfers, obviously, but it has seen an extreme downward trend in terms of the number of rounds played. You've seen a lot of courses closing. So a 9-hole course, was seen as a compromise. It would take the return to the Forest Reserve on a 9-hole golf course, and net operating income we could make off of that was about $26,000. The debt service to build a golf course would be about $600,000 a year. Where would that $600,000 come from? It would come from taxpayers. It is our position that we're not going to run a golf course that doesn't pay for itself. So it's beautiful property. We're going to go back to the Army. We're going to try and negotiate the covenant that currently requires the golf course and keep it open.
Mr. Mitchell.
I agree with Pat Carey.
Mr. Becker.
Should we build a golf course at Fort Sheridan? Absolutely not. No, 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 no. We cannot be competing with private business and providing entertainment for constituents. I saw someone here wearing a 99% jacket, and anyone that's been paying attention in the news knows that the 99% is not happy. And here we are with golf courses, a port running boat slips and boats to the 1%. We need to be catering to the 99%. And the economy gets better, we need to sell our golf courses and give the taxpayers back their money. That's all.
Mr. Hernandez.
I also don't support the Fort Sheridan golf course. Just to give you a couple of numbers here, 10 million, 14 million are the numbers that are being thrown around, how much it would cost taxpayers. It's a waste of funds. Even the city of Lake Forest had suggested something like this not be done. And in a time where unemployment's hovering about 10%, it's not wouldn't be cost effective at all.
Next question. Carey. What is your position on extending Route 53?
Everybody in Lake County knows that we've talked about this project for, I don't know, it's going on 40 years. I was mayor between 93 and 2001 in Grays Lake, and we talked about it a lot back then. People want it built. The majority of the people in Lake County want it built, and the majority of the people up here in Central Lake County that I would represent, that I do represent, and hope to continue to represent, want it built. My position is any solution that is proposed for Route 53 must not only move the traffic, but must respect the environment. There are 3 specific areas that this road will go through if it's built, down in Long Grove, Almond Marsh on 120, and then a wetland west over by the Gun Club in the Haynesville area. These are extremely high quality environmental areas. We need to protect them. So what's happening right now with the Blue Ribbon Commission is very encouraging, because the environmentalists, the people that have opposed the road, and the people that have supported the road are sitting around the table trying to come up with a boulevard proposal that would respect the environment.
Thank you. Mr. Mitchell.
Route 53 is long overdue. I can remember this was an issue when I was on the county board many years ago. The sad fact is that I don't know how we're going to continue to keep it up. Now we're going to pay for it. The state is broke. So the only other way you can do it is make it a toll highway, and there's some issues with that. But it would become self-funded. It would be able to be maintained with the dollars that are generated by the people who use it. The other thing is, we do not have a good plan for mass transit in Lake County, and we don't do a very good job of matching zip code of residents to zip code of where people work in Lake County. And that's been an issue that's been on the table for over 20 years, and we need to put that in effect. And that will help reduce the burden. We can also do like Wisconsin does, have park and rides.
Tom Weber, 100% in support of extending the Route 53 extension. I think the tollway would be the right way to do it. I think we need to bring business up into Lake County, make it more accessible to the western suburbs. I don't think I've met a person yet that is against it. It's 50 years, probably overdue. I was talking to Mayor Hill today, and finally the bridge here at Rollins Road and 83 is being done. I congratulate the county board on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hernandez.
I would also like to see the extension of Route 53, and I would love it to maybe come by the Round Lake area. residents could come by this area, take advantage of the fine restaurants, small businesses here we have in the area. So it would definitely contribute to the local economy.
Thank you. Mr.
Yeah, I've seen plenty of false starts over the years for Route 53, as we all have. And the Blue Ribbon Commission that's meeting right now, I think, offers the first or the most realistic chance we've seen in a long time that this project can move forward. It's involving all interested parties, and it seems to be working towards a consensus. And I think it's important to note that the county board was very involved in tying in the widening of Route 120 as part of this project, and we've already secured federal grants to help with that project. So I think the county board is, I won't speak for everyone, but in support of this, if it moves forward as a toll highway, it's going to be in the hands of the state, and we've seen false starts before, but the hope is that this time it's going to happen.
Thank you. I think we're ready to start a new round with the question. And Mr. Mitchell, the question is going to be tossed to you. The question is, what is your opinion on Winchester House, which, for those of you who might not know, is the county nursing home? Should it be rebuilt?
Winchester House should be rebuilt as a county facility, and it should not be privatized.
Mr. Weber.
I think it should be rebuilt by private enterprise. I think being a business owner and working for multiple agencies of the government, my experience over 27 years is that private sector will run it better and more efficient.
Thank you. Mr. Hernandez. This was Winchester House, and should it be torn down, rebuilt?
I think the county board actually did an excellent job on privatizing Winchester House. It's a tough decision. I mean, there's people's lives, people's jobs at stake. But bottom line, when we have employees making more than in the private sector, I mean, it's just not right. It's not feasible, especially when 25% of the county budget goes to health services, and which is Winchester House is included. So, the census has gone down too. So I don't think there's much more to do with the Winchester House as it is.
Thank you. Mr. Newton.
Yeah, I'm not sure Mr. Weber and Mr. Mitchell have a full understanding of the proposal as it stands, and because I haven't seen them at any of the meetings that went on while we were discussing this. And the word privatization in this case is not necessarily meaning that it's been taken over entirely by private industry. It is not. The county administrator came to us and said, we have two choices. Vote to get an oversight by a private corporation with the county continuing to make sure it's there as a safety net, and including our own conditions to make sure that it still serves the standards that it has for the county. And he said our choice was either we do this or the next proposal that's going to come to you is to close Winchester House. I do not believe the county board, although earlier there was a resolution to build a new Winchester House that predated the current recession. I don't think there's going to be any rushing into moving to build a new Winchester House, either with private or public funds, until this issue is revisited.
Thank you. Ms. Carey.
I support keeping Winchester House open as a quality facility, as a safety net for Medicaid patients, Medicaid seniors within Lake County. So that's the bottom line of my position. The county board has voted to build a new Winchester House, and we voted and awarded a contract which is being worked on right now to design it. So we've approved the architectural, millions of dollars to do the architectural work for this facility. So I support going forward with that. I voted against the privatization in the fall for one reason, because I sensed that there was some slippage among fellow county board members on the will to build a new building. And I don't see the reason to privatize it. The only reason to privatize it, we were presented economic scenarios that showed we couldn't afford to build a new building and retire the debt service for that construction and keep it open under the current scenario. So they said we have to privatize. So my point was, let's build it, let's vote to build it and privatize it at the same time. Thank you.
Good. And that's a big the question is, what departments or levels of government should be eliminated to save money? And I think that this looks like Tom is the first one to go.
Yes, and this is actually one of the first things I brought up since the beginning of me running, is I live, my family sold their farm to the Forest Reserve about 20-some years ago, and often, especially in the winter months, I watch Forest Ranger police, come down, open the gates, park, and sit there hour on end. And I think the police department for the Forest River would be one of the first departments I would have to look into to see if it's actually a profitable stance, if it should be merged into the sheriff's department or subbed out to a private security company.
Thank you. Mr. Hernandez, the question goes to you now.
It's something I already brought up before. One department I would actually keep a close eye on is the Department of Health and Community Services, and the reason why is that when you give services like these out, medical especially, and more people are using them, people are going to expect these services, and especially at a time when there is not a lot of people working and to fund these services, and there's people out of work that need these services. So there needs to be a balance there, and like I said, that's something I would definitely keep a close eye on, especially with the growth of the population growth here in Lake County.
Thank you. Mr. Newton.
Okay. The health department is an interesting example because state cuts and unfunded mandates make that one of the most difficult things that the county has to deal with. It does serve an underserved population, and it's working on a shoestring budget. Despite the recession for the last 2 years, we now have a budget that's $17 million less than it was in 2009. We made $50 million in cuts in cumulative salaries between 2009 and 2011. The county only represents 7% of property tax, and only 31% of the revenue that the county generates comes from property tax. Some of the Forest Preserve programs and some of the misinformation that's being spread about the Forest Preserve is that people don't realize that the property that's bought and developed is bought with funds that have been approved by the voters through referendums and can't be spent on other things. And golf courses are being funded by user fees, not property taxes.
Thank you, Ms. Carey.
The state of Illinois has more independent units of government than any other state. I mean, by far, almost 7,000, which is, thousands more than any other state. So we are burdened with many different units of government. But at the county level, and as mayor in Grays Lake, we were, if you know Grays Lake, we're kind of the king of privatization, and we have the smallest public works department and many other things like that. So we've learned to squeeze the dollars out, and sometimes you do that through privatization. I think that's a little, I don't see as many applications for that right now sitting here today for the county. As Jim said, we've taken $17 million out of the operating budget in the last couple of years, and that's by decreasing our staff by hundreds of employees. So we have looked for opportunities to optimize the way we do things. I think more what we need to be looking at from the county perspective, and we do this, is how do we provide leadership? How do we provide opportunities to work together amongst the different units of government? So we did that in developing alternative energy ordinances. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mitchell.
Yes. My earlier statement was, I don't think any member of the county board should be paid. Their total salary, benefits, meaning health care and retirement, amounts to almost $1 million a year. For a job statutorily, it really functions around the budget, levy, and appropriation process. I take my hat off to the county board that they've continued in the fashion of being lean and mean and winning a lot of awards for Lake County for their leadership. My time is switching on.
Get the light switch again.
But no, I think Lake County government runs a very good organization. County board salaries, seriously, I think need to be cut to zero. I don't see how people can put themselves above people who are out of work and say, I'm working for you. If I'm working for you, you're punching a time clock. I know when you're showing up to work. I know when you're leaving, and I'm telling you what to do. We don't tell these people what to do. They do what they want. The second thing is, county has a lot of appointments. I think we can take a look at that and see how those impact us in Lake County. For example, fire protection district, there's approximately 17 of these. If we want to take a look at reducing costs in government, one of the things we ought to take a look at is maybe we have one major county fire protection district for the county.
Thank you. I think that's it for this round. We're going back to Mr. Hernandez on this one. And the question is, what do you think of the latest round of redistricting in the county?
I think it's fair, especially in the district that I'm in. I think it presents an opportunity for somebody like me to run and represent the diverse district.
Thank you. Mr. Newton.
The redistricting process was in mid-operation when I was appointed to the board, so I didn't really participate in it. In my area, the changes weren't that huge. The main change to my district was that portions of Lake Villa, north of Grand Avenue, are now in Linda Peterson's district with Antioch. I think overall it was done well, and there weren't many complaints as far as I know, but again, I wasn't in on the meetings in which those things were decided.
Thank you. Ms. Carey.
I voted against the redistricting. I was one of, I think, 8 Democrats or 6 or 7 Democrats. The county board is, somewhat in my opinion, unfortunately, we have to be a Democrat or Republican. We're not very partisan on the issues, but when it comes to redistricting, when it comes to electing the chair, so every couple of years, we're partisan. I think the League of Women Voters, if I'm correct, has long advocated that this should be a nonpartisan process. It should be nonpartisan at the county. It should be nonpartisan at Springfield. So the Republicans control the redistricting. We went from 23 to 21. The 2 districts that got squished together were myself and Melinda Bush, 2 Democrats into a single district. Angela Kyle and Audrey Nixon, 2 Democrats into another district. So that was unfortunate. That's why I voted against it. Having said that, I think the district I'm running in, the geography is great. They put all of Grays Lake back together. I think that's a good thing. They did try and do that in a number of different areas throughout the county, and I think there is value in having a municipality all together. But I really think it should be a nonpartisan process to take the politics out of it.
Thank you. Mr. Mitchell.
This is Politics 101, and let's go back to the governor's race. The governor of the party of the sitting governor determines how the redistricting goes in the state. And I think it's important to have political parties because you have a much better opportunity for diverse points of view, and hopefully it will get more people out to vote. It'll be an interesting exercise to see how many people come out and vote in this election. Your school board elections in the spring next year, a couple of our gentlemen will talk about reducing taxes. That's where 90% of your real estate tax bill goes. And we have the lowest number of people who turn out to vote. I compliment all my other candidates here at the table and they're out running because we are able then to bring some issues to you so that you can understand what's going on. And so to them, thank you very much for running for office.
Thank you. Mr. Weber?
As far as the redistricting goes, it really hasn't really concerned me other than the fact of the loss in population. I think that's the main concern of how we're going with less districts instead of more. Again, this goes back to property taxes, other taxes. Our state is becoming insolvent. We just had Abbott Laboratories threatening to move up to Pleasant Prairie, Wisconsin. They employ 17,000 employees in Lake County, Illinois. I think those are some of the main concerns. What can we do immediately to give businesses and families relief that they need?
Thank you. And I think that this brings us to Mr. Newton next in our rotating fashion here. Here's a question that involves both the 4th Reserve District and the county. Would you be in favor Forest Preserve District trade land that it owns and other assets that it owns with the county in order to build more roads or other kinds of infrastructure?
No, I would not be in favor of it, and it would not be legal under the terms and statutes that land was required under. So that question is a non-starter. Maybe I can use a little bit of the rest of my time for some of the other questions that have turned and changed subjects to say that as far as county board pay goes.
Mr. Newton, we aren't going to do rebuttals here, so I'd like to ask you, I'm going to pass that question down and see if anyone else has any comments on using the Forest Preserve funds for some improvement in the county. Ms. Carey.
No, I don't support selling or trading forest preserve land. We can't sell it. We do have occasions, and there have been some just recently, where there's a road project that's going to occur. Fairfield and 176 is a great example, and all four corners are owned by the Forest Preserve. So we work with Lake County Department of Transportation to facilitate that, and we negotiate, what they need for the right of way, and we usually get something out of it. We're getting some great benefits in that case because we're losing a little bit of land, but we're getting connections to the trail system. Will go under a tunnel, so it will actually improve the trail system and the pedestrian and bike access in that area. But no, I don't support trading or selling the land other than in very specific instances like that.
We move that down to Mr. Mitchell. Do you have any comments you'd like to make on that question?
Yes, the Illinois State Legislature has passed several pieces of legislation which encourage intergovernmental cooperation. Now, a forest preserve, when I was on before, you would have to go down and get the state legislative approval to dispose of land. So depending upon what the particular issue is, yes, you can do it. And if I had all the facts of the particular issue, then I would probably say yes, if it benefited the communities involved and both whichever unit of government that was working on the forest preserve. So yes, it is possible to do that. And I think there are a lot of things that could happen in Lake County that would move us along if there was much more intergovernmental cooperation, not only between Lake County government and the forest preserve, but all the other units of government.
Thank you. Mr. Weber.
Oh yeah, the property for the county and the forest are both bought by taxpayers' dollars. I think working together with the county in order to get roads and infrastructure through, absolutely, I think the property could be used.
Thank you. Mr. Hernandez, the same question goes to you.
I wouldn't support it, but there's case-by-case scenarios, especially with Route 50, extension of Route 53. So it's got to be in general. I wouldn't support it, but in cases that, like if an extension of Route 53, I would definitely support something like that.
Thank you. So Mr. Newton will be going home actually. Ms. Carey, you'll be first on this round of questions. Should the Lake County Board approve the withdrawal of more water from Lake Michigan, even though there is an international compact limiting water withdrawal?
Well, actually, the county board doesn't get to approve the withdrawal. The state of Illinois approves allocations, and what you may be aware of is there are a number of communities in the northwestern part of Lake County that are interested in getting Lake Michigan water, and there is the county representing several unincorporated areas, along with these municipalities, are looking at forming what's called the Northwest Planning, I think it's currently called the Northwest Lake Michigan Water Planning Group. And they're looking at whether or not it makes sense to build another water agency that takes water from Lake Michigan to serve those communities. The allocations have already been awarded to all of those communities, including the county for the unincorporated areas representing Granwood Park and some other areas. So the state has already said, yes, we can take water. They're very careful about what you can take out. So right now we're kind of engaged in what's the best way to do that, whether or not to work with another agency that has excess water or to build a new system.
Thank you. Mr. Mitchell?
I'm in favor of anybody who can get Lake Michigan water getting Lake Michigan water. Now, having said that, one of the things that Illinois is in violation of is they do not return any of Lake Michigan water back to the Lake Michigan watershed. So we are in fact in violation of that compact that's governed by the Supreme Court of the United States. There are a bunch of sewage treatment plants that have processed Lake Michigan water to drinking water standards. We could put 1 or 2 steps in between and bring that water further west for people to drink. Some people may say it's toilet to tap, but there's ways in which we can go through a different process and bring quality drinking water that originated in Lake Michigan back to the people. And then we can do a much better job of recycling tertiary treated effluent instead of dumping it in the streams, bringing it back into the environment so it can be used again and again.
Thank you. Mr. Weber.
Yes, absolutely. I support bringing in Lake Michigan water for District 3. It's not one of the issues I'm very familiar with, but I've been to enough board meetings and heard them talk about it to know that it's a necessity that will be coming up in the future.
Thank you. Mr. Hernandez.
I definitely support water from Lake Michigan, but like Pat said, it's more of a state than county board issue. But I do support getting more water from Lake Michigan.
Mr. Newton.
Yeah, the allocation has been approved that would allow more areas in Lake County to receive water, and the county is serving to help those areas decide if that's what they want to do, whether it's through existing Jawas or a different route, or whether they want to do it at all. That's primarily in the hands now of the villages to see if they want to go forward or not. There's a couple of unincorporated areas that the county could be involved in making that decision with as well.
Thank you. Mr. Mitchell, I think you're first on this one. Lake County has a very successful drug court and mental health court. However, with state funding being cut, these programs could be in jeopardy. Would you work to keep these programs in place?
Yes. Whatever it would take, whether we'd have to have some private partnerships with corporations here in Lake County, private donations, but yes, I think it's important to try and keep it at the lowest level possible to try and assist those people in need.
Thank you, Mr. Weber.
Yes, absolutely. I would try to keep those things open or find some non-for-profits to work with. There's a lot of agencies in Lake County that I'm sure would try to help out with some of those things with those programs. So, yeah, I would absolutely try to concentrate on keeping our health benefit, our health care for our poor, homeless, and the needy, especially with people with addiction.
Thank you. Mr. Hernandez.
I would definitely like to see it, but if there's no revenue or there's no money to support those programs, that sometimes tough decisions have to be made.
Thank you, Mr. Newman.
Could you please restate the exact wording of that question again?
Yes. Lake County has a very successful drug court and mental health court. However, with state funding being cut, these programs could be in jeopardy. Would you work to keep these programs in place?
Well, yes, they've made progress, and I think they are an important part of what we're trying to do with our overall criminal justice and health and welfare departments. There are, even though the state cuts have been drastic, Lake County does one of the best jobs of securing grants, both at the federal and state level, of any county in the nation. And I believe that's something we're constantly striving to do and will continue to do, and this is one of the areas in which that's important.
Thank you, Ms. Carey.
Yes, I would definitely keep those programs in place. I serve on the Law and Judicial Committee, and those are two just great examples of what we try and do throughout the justice system in Lake County. We have a sort of a motto or mantra, justice is good or better sooner. So we look for ways to shorten the time, and we've made a lot of progress in terms of moving people through the justice system so that we haven't. Some years ago, they were talking about needing to build a new building, a new jail, because we had too many people in the jail. What we've done is try to improve the justice system to move people through. So those two particular programs are great. I honestly don't know, but I don't think we get specific state grant funding for those programs. I think they're financed financed through our own revenues. We do have other areas where the state hurts us a lot in terms of probation funding and some other things, and we struggle to do the best we can. But I think it would be, I don't see those programs going away. I think the board would support them.
Is Bob Bender. I'm here to read a statement for Michael Carbone, who unfortunately had a schedule conflict and couldn't attend this evening. Michael is a candidate for the 16th district of the county board. Michael is a small business owner. He has a long record of fiscal responsibility, government transparency on his local school board where he serves. Michael wants his children to grow up in a healthy, vibrant area, and we need a county government that understands those issues. Michael plans to envision himself as a person that fosters economic growth and prosperity for the county. He believes he can deliver this to the people of Lake County. Michael cites job growth, property taxes, and government transparency as three of his top priorities. As a small business owner, Michael understands the importance of creating jobs for families in Lake County and how that spurs economic growth in the community. In his business, he's helped hundreds of families in the Round Lake and Grays Lake community lower their property taxes through property tax appeals, which is one of the areas of business that Michael works in, and he helps people keep their homes by doing that. Families in the 16th district need to be fairly represented. They deserve to have a choice on the board, and it needs to be a voice that speaks for them. Michael would like to be that voice. Michael, in 2009, ran as a write-in candidate, and that's when he was elected to his local school board. On the school board, Michael's championed efforts to make the district more transparent, including making the district's check register available online. He also helped create a citizen finance committee to ensure that parents have a voice in the way their tax dollars are spent. Michael Carbone has a proven record of working hard for his community. His neighbors already know that, and they appreciate his efforts on the local school board. Michael is a 1991 graduate of Antioch High School. He received his Bachelor of Arts degree, and he received his Bachelor of Arts degree from Columbia College in Chicago. Thank you, folks.
So we'll go to our closing statement, which is 1.5 minutes. And we'll start at the other end of the table.
Hi, again, I'm Tom Weber. I'm not running because I want to be an elected official. I'm running because I want to be a representative of the people. I've spent years trying to expose bad government, trying to be the voice of people that won't stand up for themselves. Recently, I kind of went after Chase Bank because they've been canceling contractors and homeowners lines of credit, which in this economy, you know, as a contractor, I know how important that is. And people who have taken out those equity lines are getting hurt very badly by those. Some people losing their houses. Anyway, I'm a small business owner. I've been an employer. I've lost sleep at night over the things that have to do with business. I've experienced dealing with multiple government agencies. I've negotiated millions of dollars in contracts. I'm running to be a representative of the people, and I can't do it by myself. I need your help. Please vote for Tom Weber on March 20th. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mitchell.
Hi, I dress this way for a reason. I had the opportunity to go visit a facility up in Wisconsin, Milwaukee. It was called Growing Power, aquaponics, aquaculture. Right now, they are sustainable living, putting a whole bunch of people to work. So we could have jobs tomorrow where people will feed themselves with fresh food, fresh fish, and nobody in Lake County should ever go hungry again. And I take this as a challenge to League of Women Voters to do a little more research and help bring this as a program to Lake County. All you have to do is Google aquaponics, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and they have a thriving program which puts a lot of people to work. This one facility I visited had 5 refrigerator trucks, and they deliver fresh stuff around the city. They take programs into the schools and teach the kids how this kind of process works. We could do this to support our food banks with fresh food, fresh produce, fish, and all sorts of other things. Not only that, we can begin training are next farmers in urban farming. And farming was never, this type of farming, I could not find any information at the Farm Bureau or the Lake County Cooperative Extension. Woefully deficient in those two organizations in Lake County. It's a big disappointment. So tonight, you heard about it here, do a little bit of research yourself.
Thank you. Ms. Carey?
We all have ideas on what we should do to control spending, improve transportation, create jobs, and protect our environment. The question is, what do we do with those ideas? We need leaders who can turn ideas into action. We need leaders who can have a voice that will be listened to, and we need leaders who have proven their effectiveness at getting things done. I believe I fit that description. Now, I'm going to digress from the rest of my prepared closing speech because of what Mr. Mitchell was just talking about. One of the things, I have been one of the strongest voices on the county board for the environment in the past 3.5 years. One of the things I'm doing right now is I am a member, an active member, and I think probably about the only elected official is an active member of the College Lake County Community Partners for Sustainability. Through that group, I am working with a number of other agencies, the Prairie Crossing Farm Development Center, the Liberty Prairie Conservancy, Libertyville Open Township, College of Lake County, the Forest Preserve in Lake County, on a CMAP-funded grant project to look at sustainable agriculture and to develop a local food system in Lake County. So I applaud Mr. Mitchell for bringing this up. It is exactly the type of work that we're doing on this project right now. We're looking at how we can move. We're losing traditional farming in Lake County. How can we move that and promote sustainable agriculture? It does create jobs. One of the most exciting things going on right now is marrying up economic development with sustainability. There's a group called, an entity called IGEN, the Illinois Green Economy Network. Find out more about it. Thank you. I appreciate your support.
Thank you. Mr. Newby?
Okay. My wife advised me to speak slowly tonight, and that's always good advice at these kind of things, but now I'm going to have to speed it up and try to dash through a couple of things really quickly. But I would like to point out that since my appointment, I hit the ground running. I was a vocal supporter of a new ethics ordinance passed by both the county and forest boards that restricts county board members from being directly involved in the hiring of staff and that process. I think that was important just to avoid any appearance of potential nepotism or anything like that. One of the first things I did upon taking my seat was to voluntarily take the same pay cut that the rest of the Republican board members and some of the Democrats had taken in solidarity with our employees who had a 2-year pay freeze. I also voted in favor of a pay cut for the board in its next terms, which will be my leaving gift should I not make it through either of the next 2 races. But the point is, I don't punch a clock for Mr. Mitchell or anybody. I do for my constituents, and I think if the job is what you make of it. Certainly, there are people who could abuse it, and maybe there could be higher standards or minimum standards. But I guarantee you that I'm working more hours than I was getting paid for previously to take in this appointment. I left an award-winning job. I love to do this, to take less money because I want to be in public service. And if you want to get people who aren't either retired, unemployed, or wealthy, you have to have some kind of stipend so they can support their families while they're also helping.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out. I've been knocking on doors for about 6 months, 7 months, and there's a lot of apathy out there, people that just don't care. So I just want to thank you for coming out here tonight. I just want to say that to me, this is the greatest country in the world. For an immigrant like me to be in this position, I can't say enough. The Round Lake area has given me the American dream. It is my American dream, and for that I'll forever be grateful. Whether if I lose or win, but I just I feel that I have a lot of tools. The Round Lake area has given me the tools to be successful, and I definitely would love to represent this area on the county level. And with your help, I also ask for your support. You can check out my website at www.renejuniorforlake.com. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. I want to just say thank you to all of the audience, first of all, who sent in wonderful questions covering across the board issues, which I think is kind of